In 1926, Wassily Kandinsky published one of the most important theoretical texts of modern art, Point and Line to Plane, while teaching at the Bauhaus. At this moment in history, Europe was undergoing a radical transformation. Traditional artistic conventions were collapsing, and modernism was searching for new universal languages of the form. Painters, architects, and designers were no longer satisfied with representation. They wanted to understand the fundamental structure of visual expression itself. Kandinsky was uniquely positioned to lead this intellectual shift. Born in Russia, trained in law and economics before turning to painting, he became one of the pioneers of abstract art and later a central figure at the Bauhaus. His earlier book, concerning the spiritual in art, focused on the emotional and spiritual power of the color and form. But by the middle 1920s, his thinking had become more analytical and systematic. At the Bauhaus, surrounded by figures like Walter Gropius and Paul Klee, Kandinsky began to develop a scientific and structural approach to visual composition. Point and Line to Plane was written as part of this Bauhaus educational project. It wasn't just a philosophical essay, but a teaching manual, a systematic attempt to define fundamental elements of visual language. Kandinsky wanted to build a glamour of the form, a set of principles that could guide artists, designers, and architects in constructing modern compositions. Instead of relying on the historical styles or intuition alone, he aimed to analyze visual elements in the same rigorous way that music theory analyzes sound or mathematics analyze structure. He believed that abstract art was not random. It had a structure, logic, emotional laws. This book is his attempt to uncover those laws. So Kandinsky begins Point and Line to Plane with something almost absolutely simple, the point. Not a painting, not a composition, not even a line, just a point. A single dot on the surface. But for Kandinsky, this smallest visual element is not trivial at all. It is the foundation of all visual language, the beginning of the artistic thought itself. He writes, the point is the ultimate and the most singular union of the silence and the speech. This statement already reveals his intention. The point is not merely a geometric object. It is a living visual element, something that carries tension, energy, and meaning. A point is silence because it has no extension, no direction, no movement. But it's also speech because it exists on the surface and creates a visual presence. The moment a point appears on a blank plane, the emptiness is broken and a space begins to speak. For Kandinsky, the point is the origin of all visual structure. It is the smallest unit of composition, but it's also the most concentrated. It holds potential energy. When placed on a plane, it creates tension with its surroundings, with the edges, with the center, with the gravity and direction. A point near the center feels stable. A point near the edge feels unstable. A point in the corner feels compressed. Even the simplest dot creates a field of forces across the surface. In this way, Kandinsky is not talking about geometry in a mathematical sense. He's talking about psychology and perception. The point becomes a dynamic element, capable of expressing emotion and movement even without moving. It is a beginning of visual composition because it establishes a relationship between form and space. A single point is enough to activate the entire plane. So from this point, the line emerges. Kandinsky describes that line as a result of a movement, the trace of the point in the motion. He writes, that line is a track made by the moving point. This definition is elegant and radical at the same time. A line is not simply a shape. It is a record of energy, a visible trace of a motion. The point, once static, begins to move, and a movement generates direction, tension, and rhythm. The line therefore introduces time into the visual field. It is no longer silent and concentrated like the point. It is dynamic and expressive. Different types of lines produce different psychological effects. A horizontal line feels calm and grounded, almost like the horizon or the earth itself. A vertical line feels active and spiritual, rising against gravity. A diagonal line feels unstable, full of tension and movement. Curved lines introduce softness and organic flow, while shaped angles create aggression and conflict. Kandinsky sees these not as abstract theories, but as emotional realities embedded in the visual perception. A line is a force. It pulls the eye, directs attention, and structures experience. It creates movement across the plane and organizes the visual space. Through lines, composition begins to unfold as a system of tensions and harmonies. He writes, each line has its own inner sound. This idea of inner sound is central to Kandinsky's thinking. Just as music is composed of tones and rhythms, visual art is composed of points and lines that resonate emotionally. The line becomes a visual note, and composition becomes a kind of silent music. This is why Kandinsky believed painting and architecture should be understood not just visually, but spiritually and psychologically. Lines do not simply divide a space, they express energy and emotion. When multiple lines interact, they begin to form shapes, and this leads to the concept of the plane. The plane is not the canvas or surface is not empty, it is dynamic. It has direction, gravity, and orientation. The top of the plane feels light and open. The bottom feels heavy and grounded. The left and right create movement and balance. The plane is therefore a spatial field in which visual forces interact, and every point in line placed on it changes its equilibrium. In Kandinsky's thinking, composition becomes a negotiation between the point, line, and plane. The point introduces a presence. The line introduces movement. The plane introduces a structure. Together, they create a visual language that operates almost like physics, a system of forces, tensions, and balances that shape perception. What makes this theory so powerful is that it transforms art into the kind of scientific and philosophical investigation. Kandinsky is not simply teaching how to draw. He is proposing a universal grammar of the form. Just as language is built from the letters and sounds, visual composition is built from the points, lines, and planes. These elements form the foundation of modern abstraction, but they also extend into architecture, design, and spatial thinking. In many ways, this book reflects the intellectual environment of the Bauhaus, where Kandinsky was teaching at the time. The goal was to understand the fundamental elements of visual form and create a universal language for modern art and design, instead of relying on historical styles or decorative traditions. Artists and architects would work with basic elements and construct meaning from the first principles. This is why Point and Line to Plane feels both artistic and architectural. It is about composition, but it's also about structure, force, spatial, and organization. The point becomes a unit, the line becomes a vector, and the plane becomes a field. Together, they form a system that resembles not only painting, but also urban plans, architectural diagrams, and spatial compositions. And perhaps the most important idea Kandinsky leaves us with is that visual form is never neutral. A point is not just a dot, a line is not just a stroke, a plane is not just a surface. Each carries emotional and psychological weight, shaping how we perceive and experience space. In this sense, Kandinsky is not simply explaining abstract art. He's revealing the hidden language of the visual form itself. A language that underlies painting, architecture, graphic design, and even urban space. Every composition, no matter how complex, can be traced back to these three elements. Those are interacting in a silent but powerful dialogue that shapes the way we see the world. One of the other most important concepts in the book is tension. Composition is not about decoration. It is about balancing forces. When lines intersect, they create conflict or harmony. When forms cluster, they produce density. When space opens, it creates relief. Kandinsky believed that abstraction allowed artists to work directly with these forces without relying on representation. Instead of painting a tree or a house, the artist works with pure relationship, with point, line, and plane. He even diagrams compositional structures mathematically, analyzing angles and the intersections, and almost like an engineer. This analytical rigor reflects the Bauhaus environment, where art, design, and theory were deeply integrated. Although the book is really analytical, Kandinsky's motivation is spiritual. Earlier, in concerning the spiritual art, he argued that abstraction could express inner necessity, deeper emotional truths beyond physical reality. In Pointing Line to Plane, he provides the technical foundation for the belief. He wants to show that abstraction is not chaotic. It has grammar. Just as the music operates through the rhythm, tone, and harmony, visual art operates through spatial forces. This connection between visual form and music is central. Kandinsky often describes composition as symphonic. Crescents of the diagonal lines, quiet passages of horizontal stability. Abstraction becomes a language of emotion without a representation. Although Kandinsky was a painter, his ideas profoundly influenced architecture and graphic design. Kandinsky helped articulate why those associations feel intuitive. So let's summarize the core lessons. The visual elements are not neutral. Points, lines, and planes carry emotional and spatial force. And composition is dynamic. Art is about tension and balance. The canvas itself has a structure. Empty space is active. Abstraction has grammar. It is not random. It follows perceptual laws. Art and music share structural logic. Both organize time and space through rhythm and harmony. So nearly a century after the publication, pointing a line to plane remains fundamental for anyone studying visual composition. It teaches us to slow down, to look at the painting or the building not as an object, but as a system of forces. For architects, designers, and artists, Kandinsky offers something powerful, a reminder that geometry is expressive. A line is never just a line. A surface is never neutral. An abstraction is not emptiness. It is concentrated meaning. Thank you for watching and hope this summary helps you, and hope you have opportunity to read the actual text and learn more about it. And still, we're just halfway up the ladder of knowledge of all of architecture, art, and design. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts below.